Hi, Dan Klatt here. I'm the founder of OperationGreatness.com and the author of the book Reignited America. I'm very happy that you are joining me today. This is going to be a great Operation Greatness podcast. We're talking about Elon's productivity gift to the world. What 5 things did you achieve this week? Okay, so you know the context, right? You're aware of what one of, if not the biggest stories in the world, at least as I'm recording this now, is how much backlash there is from the federal government employees, at least the ones who still have their jobs now, because Elon Musk, who is heading the Doge, I don't know what it's called, committee, group, whatever, agency, I guess. That's the Department of Government Efficiency. And how he has been charged by President Trump with eliminating all of the waste, fraud, corruption in the federal government. And I mean, I guess I've seen something that questioned the validity of this, although it was widely reported, so I don't know. It looks like it might not be true, but it was out there, so I don't know whether it is or not. But if this is true, then it's horrific that the Social Security rolls had more than 3 million people who were over the age of 100, if I'm not mistaken, who were said to be collecting Social Security benefits, including, I think, 3 people who were 250 years old. I mean, anyway, I believe that level of fraud exists in the federal government now. And what did they identify? $4.9 trillion, I think, to eliminate? I don't know for sure the numbers. It's on a scale that's hard to even comprehend. The level of fraud and abuse and corruption in the federal government and among all of, not all of necessarily, USAID, how they were giving so many millions of dollars to support trans classes and all, DEI and all of that. All of that is a complete fraud and betrayal of you and I as taxpayers and as we the people and as Americans and people who value the family. And anyway, all of this is so well documented, the level of abuse, fraud, corruption by the previous communist administration. And anyway, now all of that is being corrected, eliminated, erased, except we must penalize everyone who was responsible for all of this incomprehensible waste, manipulation, fraud. That's a complete betrayal of America, of the duty of our oaths of office that, these people have taken. The elected officials even turning their backs on it and allowing it to continue, or even encouraging it, like the Biden administration. Everybody who's responsible, these criminals, must be penalized and prosecuted and punished to the full extent of the law. That's obvious and beyond obvious. Anyway, so now with so many people in federal government, and, President Trump offered buyouts to so many of them, because how much waste is there still in the ranks of all of these bloated bureaucracies? Communism is about big government telling everyone else what to do, and the few who actually work pay for everyone who doesn't, the academic ivory tower. And anyway, we became that, and why were we not protesting out in the streets? This is wrong. We are Americans. We get rewarded for the work we do. I mean, that's why we became the greatest country in the world, is because we value the individual, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I mean, all of this is so obvious, at least to everyone who is a thinking person, not under the manipulation, the fraud, and the abuse. Anyhow, okay, so I mean, is this like, are you thinking like how pathetic we had become? We had allowed our government, whom we hire to serve us, to be? And now, I mean, thank God for Elon Musk and President Trump and the people who are willing to do what's right in Congress, who still represent us, who haven't been completely bought and paid for by, the pharmaceutical cartels, the whole military-industrial defense, quote-unquote defense, censorship, entertainment, banking, cartel. Anyway, we have our work to do. We have to roll up our sleeves and get busy, and we're doing that through OperationGreatness.com/leader. Well, there's been so much backlash against... Well, I mean, think about it. I guess if you had been, I mean, not you, because you are a person of integrity, you are a person of honor, you know that when you're getting paid to do something, you have to do the work and show up, and you value excellence because you are an honorable person. You know that life is about being of service, that your purpose and my purpose and every one of us are here to make as much of a difference as we can to as many people as we can. And you focus on how can I serve even more? How can I make a greater contribution through the work I'm doing, through everything I'm doing? Because you know that excellence is how you feel about yourself, and that's reflected in everything you do, because you are a good person, because you are here to make a difference and be of greater service, right? So anyone who fell into that communist lie, fraud, deception, betrayal of I'm going to get paid as much as I can and do as little as I can, that's totally against America. I mean, all of this is so obvious, and yet how many millions of people were doing that? I mean, we're finding that out now. Anyway, so many people are or have been resisting Elon Musk and his mandate, which is directly from President Trump, that every federal employee must submit an email to, I guess I'm not clear of the details. I think they have to copy their manager in that email, and maybe it's that email is sent right to Doge. I don't know who the direct recipient is, the Department of Government Efficiency, headed by Elon, and they just have to send Elon calls it a 5-minute email, and yet it's really just, 15, 25 seconds maybe, just telling the 5 things that they achieved last week. What's hard about that? I mean, to me, if you're on Twitter, owned by, or X now, owned by Elon Musk, then you've seen all the conversations about this. People were going crazy over this. The resistance to something that's so simple and obvious and should have been part of the normal day-to-day operations of an efficiently run department, agency, bureau of the federal government, as it is required to be in every business, industry, sector of society. I mean, these are just so common sense things. It's like pathetic that anybody would even question this. I do good work. I do my best to serve you. For you to ask me how I am serving you, if that's not already obvious, is just kind of like a very reasonable request for you to make of me when I am here to serve you, when you are the one paying me to serve you. Of course you want to go deeper than just the 5 things I did last week, because that's very broad and vague. And hopefully I did 100 things, or I did 5 really, really big things that make a difference to you. And we need to, obviously, you know this if you've been in business for yourself, or if you're hired by a company that cares about the business that you are serving with your work every day, then we have to have like very specific targets and metrics that we track to see how well we're doing and where we are in that accomplishment of what work we are doing for the good of this company, agency, business, government, any aspect of the work we do. We're tracking the work we're doing, right? All of this is so obvious, and yet is there really agencies, are there really parts of the government or millions of people in our government that they could just sit there and play games all day, do email, do social media, do nothing for the job that they are being paid to do for America, for the federal government, for we the people? That's what it looks like. Maybe even tens of millions of these people just leeching off the government like parasites. That's what the communist regime was about, of course, taking as much as they can from the people who contribute to society. That's the whole model of communism. You know that if you have any level of intelligence, awareness, perspective on history and what's happening in the world today, what was happening as part of the attempted totalitarian takeover. All of that is just so obvious, and it's like I'm preaching to the choir. If you were awake and aware and not living under a rock in the last 4+ years. Anyway, so let me just read something that really stood out for me as part of the total protest and resistance to just a simple mandate that all federal employees by Monday, I don't remember if it's Monday at noon or Monday, whatever, maybe, I don't know, but they have to just send in this email, just sending the 5 things they did last week. And somebody on Twitter, and I'll give you his name shortly as soon as I find this in my notes. Okay, let's see. Well, here, okay, this is what somebody posted this on Twitter, and I love this. Dear U.S. government workers, last week I worked 63 hours, I drove 2,600 miles, I delivered 130,000 gallons of fuel. See how easy that was? Sincerely, Jake Logan, American trucker. And it had a picture of him, and he looks like, a good salt of the earth American, because I'm sure he is. And he just, what was that, about 45 seconds? Let me just read this to you again, because it is so short, because it is so easy, because this requirement is not only common sense to require, and so easy for every federal employee to accomplish, and yet it's also our invitation to step up in our lives and do something so simple and yet so glorious, magnificent, important, imperative for our lives. We're going to talk about that next as part of this Operation Greatness podcast, which is entitled Elon's Productivity Gift to the World. What 5 things did you achieve this week? So let me read to you again this email this tweet that was just a sample from, and I love this guy and what he's doing with showing how easy this is to do what's required as an American. So he signs it, Jake Logan, American Trucker. He says, "Dear U.S. government workers, last week I worked 63 hours. I drove 2,600 miles. I delivered 130,000 gallons of fuel." See how easy that was? That's the email that every federal employee must submit every week, outlining the 5 things they did. I mean, that's what is requested of them. And I mean, it's obvious to me, like driving 2,600 miles, I mean, in the last week. So how many miles is that every day? I don't know. Is that, 5 days would be like 500 miles a day? 520, I guess. And if it's 6 days, then it's, whatever, and 7 days, whatever. Little less than that, 3, whatever, 400, whatever it is. And so we can assume that, he drove 500 miles this day or whatever as one of, anyway. This just, don't overcomplicate it. And yet, so it's very important for every federal employee to do this. And yet, it's also very important for you and I to do this. So, like on Monday this week, I did write my tweet outlining the 5 things that I did this last week. And I didn't save that for you. I don't know if I can find that very quickly here because it's already like Tuesday, but I basically wrote, "Dear President Trump, last week and then I just shared that." I'm kind of scrolling through my tweets to see if I forgot to find that for you ahead of time. It's just like I completed 4 podcasts and I don't remember what I put in there, but I guess I can't find it very quickly here because I do a lot of tweets on here. Oh, here it is. Okay. Sorry I didn't have this all prepared for you. I forgot about it, honestly. I wrote, "Dear President Trump, last week the 5 things I accomplished," bullet point or hyphen, "I completed 4 podcasts, including 2 inspiring people to be the activist leaders making their communities strong again." And then I give the link to my operationgreatness.com/podcast, my podcast page. My interview was published on Medium, making sure our young people know how much they truly matter. That's at operationgreatness.com/medium. So those are 2 things that I list. I genuinely came from love and did my best in being God's instrument for miracles, as you surely are, President Trump. And as all are meant to be, all of us are meant to be God's instrument for miracles. That was the 3rd thing. That was my accomplishment that I'm listing. The 4th thing is I made time each day to better myself and did the work to implement what I've learned to be able to joyfully serve people that much more. deeply. That was the fourth thing I did. And the last thing that I'm listing in my own example of this is I'm giving for giving's sake, because that's what God is having me do as God's instrument for miracles and as God's gift to the world, which you are also. You are God's gift to the world. I hope you recognize that yourself, because then your work is being that gift. It is that simple. It really is. So let me just read that last part again. The last of my 5 accomplishments that I did this last week. I'm giving for giving's sake, because that's what God is having me do. I'm unattached to the outcome, as that's God's business, not mine. As JFK implored us to do, ask not what your country or God, I write in parentheses, can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country or for God. So those are the 5 things that I did. I'm inviting you, I'm imploring you to do this yourself every day. If you think of, like, if you work for 8 hours or 9 hours or 10 hours a day, or even 6 or 5, whatever it is, what is the one big thing that you are achieving every day? Like, do you work 5 days a week or 6 or 7? I mean, like, I work for me, so I work every day, and yet I take time off every day to recharge, like getting out into nature, or meditating, or being at peace, or just being present with life, communing with God. I mean, even communing with God is a big achievement for me to do each day, because it's how I am more connected with life and being of greater service with everyone I am blessed to have connected with me. I mean, so I would invite you to write down and focus on achieving your 5 things that are important and significant and make a difference in your work every day. And then to keep track of that, and at least focus on, like, this was my big achievement today, this one thing that will be part of the big 5 that I list every week, and then put it out there publicly. And if you want to put out there, dear President Trump, or dear Elon Musk, or, you know, whatever, you're sort of writing it to everyone connected with you. And if you want to link back to this podcast through operationgreatness.com/podcast, like podcast, this will be, I don't know, number 22 or 21, I forgot. Anyway, then you can do that, link directly to this podcast in your post each week, or just mention, like, I saw this podcast, and then link to this specific podcast, and I'm doing this every week myself, as is important for you to do every week, because this is the greatest productivity gift to the world. What 5 things did you achieve this week? And so your whole day, like your 8 hours or 10 or 15, whatever it is that you work each day, is focused on, centered around achieving this one big thing. So this is the main thing, that by you achieving this today, you're moving the needle and you're moving forward toward your goal that much more. This is the most pressing and urgent, it's not the pressing and urgent thing, because those things often take care of themselves, or you can delegate them. No, this is the thing that moves the needle the most, that is aligned with your vision, like where you've seen this, right? Like for example, this year I'm creating $1.2 million that didn't exist before, and I'm doing that by transforming the lives of actually 2,400 people, who are leading their own Operation Greatness chapters through operationgreatness.com/leader. And this is the best thing that they have ever done to better themselves. So, like, for me to achieve that by the end of this year, what is this? Like, today's almost the end of February. So that means I have, like, the first 2 months are basically done. So I have 10 months to achieve that. And so then 10 months, 2,400 people, that means what? I need 2,400? So I need 240 people every month leading their own chapters through me, right? So that means this month, like in March, I need to get 240 people going to operationgreatness.com/leader and leading their own Operation Greatness chapters through my link. And so 240 people in 30 days. So what is that every day then? So whatever that would be, 24 people divided by 3 is 8. 8 people a day, right? Because 30 times 8 is 240. So I need 8 people a day. So then that's my focus. I mean, this is just one way you can do this or look at this, understand the concept of this. So then my 8 hours is to get 8 people. If I work 8 hours a day, then that means I'm here to get one person every hour. And that's, that's my big achievement. I got my 8 people today, so I'm on track with my goal of 240 people in this month. And so I'm on track with my goal of my vision, my big picture of getting 2,400 people leading their own Operation Greatness chapters this year. You see how you break this down by your focus on achieving 5 things this week. That's so that you're accountable to your big vision, your purpose, your fulfillment, living your divine design, duty, destiny, dharma, and fulfilling your reason for being of greater service to everyone you are blessed to be able to serve. So, how is this moving you? Will you commit to writing that post on all your social media? Like, if you want to say, Dear President Trump, I like doing it that way, because this is, who was that? Who was the one that was responsible for the health and the fitness? Because one president, or maybe it was even a first lady, they valued nutrition and health, and they got maybe it was in physical education classes or fitness, they got everybody working out because they knew that it was important, because we feel good when we're working out, when we're exercising, training. And anyway, one person had that idea and it became a national craze, and it did so much for our health. And now this measure required of federal employees to write this email every Monday morning, the 5 things they did. Now, with you taking this to heart and doing this yourself, and by you leading now every one of your online friends into this podcast, so they're doing this themselves, and then they're leading everyone in their social media audience to doing this themselves, we're upping our game, we're stepping up, we're accomplishing our goals, we're hitting everything that we want, we're achieving it, we're back to productivity again. We're not sitting back on our butts all day watching TV and eating unhealthy junk processed food. No, we're upping our game. We're becoming America again. We're becoming strong again. We're becoming free again. We are becoming transformed. And you are leading the way in doing that yourself by leading your own Operation Greatness chapter in your community and among all of your online friends. You're being the inspired visionary leader, and you, my friend, are focusing on your purpose, which is being of greater service to more people. You are leading, inspiring, transforming, and liberating LITL, doing a little more today in being of greater service to more people. And so every week you're saying, I achieved these 5 things. I transformed 1,200 of my online friends who are now leading their own chapters, and they're becoming financially free because of me through leading my own Operation Greatness chapter at operationgreatness.com/leader. And you're liberating all of your online friends. And how is this by far the greatest contribution you have ever done? And that's what you're saying is your 5 accomplishments. I'm leading my own Operation Greatness chapter through operationgreatness.com/leader, and I transformed the lives of 10 of my online friends, or 100, or 1,200, or all of them. And that's what you achieved this week. And I'm so much more happy. I bought my new car. We made a down payment on a new house. We're upgrading our family because of all the financial freedom that this has given me by leading my own chapter. And what are the other 2 things that you achieved? You took time off to be with your children, and you are creating a better life for your children, and they are on board with this, and you're together stronger as a family as a result of doing this yourself, and you and your family have become leaders in your community by strengthening the community, by getting your whole community on board with stepping up and becoming more productive and reconnecting with life. And you are the leader of your community, your family is, including your children. And that is what you achieved this week. I mean, has there ever been a more productive week? I'm getting chills here, just reflecting on what's in store for you here this week by you doing this work yourself, by you stepping up and reconnecting with life and honoring your purpose to be of greater service to more people. And this was the most important week of your whole life. And your family is more connected and strong and close than it's ever been in years because of you taking this to heart now, doing this yourself, committing to do this yourself, and leading your own Operation Greatness chapter as a family, operationgreatness.com/leader. How is this moving you? How is this inspiring you? How is this the greatest gift that you have ever received? And you're going all in and doing this yourself and bringing everyone in your family to go all in and do this themselves. I'm going to ask that you go back to the beginning of this video and that you write down the things that I'm sharing here and that you think about them, reflect on them, and that you post about them. And in your post, do link back to either this podcast, this Operation Greatness podcast, or using your Operation Greatness chapter link to operationgreatness.com/leader, because through this podcast alone, you can transform all of your online friends by leading them through doing this podcast with you through your chapter. This is through operationgreatness.com/leader. I'm also going to ask that you take all the posts that you are making right here, because you have the power to transform all of humanity through this podcast, through you taking it to heart, and by you leading every one of your online friends through this podcast. You're leading, inspiring, transforming, and liberating every one of them. So picture for a moment that you have your Operation Greatness podcast through operationgreatness.com/leader, and you are leading every one of your online friends on all your social media platforms to leading their own Operation Greatness chapters as well. And they are doing this through you, and then they are leading all of their friends through leading their own chapters through their chapters. And like your 1,200 people getting their 1,200 people, now you have transformed the lives of 1,440,000 friends or people who are leading their own chapters as well, you've now transformed the lives of 1.72 billion people. That is the power that you have right here through this Operation Greatness podcast and through your chapter through operationgreatness.com/leader. You are the inspired visionary leader the world needs now. You're transforming the lives of everyone you can. And there's no limit to that other than the total number of people on the planet and all of those not yet born. That's the impact you have had with your life by taking this to heart and doing those 5 things that you achieved this week, like leading your own Operation Greatness chapter at operationgreatness.com/leader. Is there anything more important than this? Is there any way you can contribute more meaningfully to the whole of humanity, to the earth, to God, than this? I don't see how there could be. Maybe you see something that I'm not seeing that's even greater than this, and absolutely do that then. Otherwise, lead your chapter. Accomplish everything it is in your heart, it is in your purpose, it is in your destiny to do. Through operationgreatness.com/leader, take all the posts that you're giving, put them into the essay that you're sending me from this Operation Greatness chapter meeting/podcast. Send that to me personally at dan@danclatt.com. Let me know how this is moving you. How do you feel right now? How much more on top of the world are you? You are in your power. You're in your element. You're achieving at the level of excellence because this is who you are, because you are a person of integrity. And this matters because you matter, because you have so much more within you to give, to contribute, to share, so much more love to give, to contribute, to share. And now you're doing it. You're doing it, you're doing it, you're doing it, you're achieving it, you're living it, you're honoring it. And you feel on top of the world now because you are, because you're creating, you're moving mountains and transforming the world. You're creating everything is your destiny that's been in your heart to achieve. And you're doing it now. Now. This is while I'm calling this Elon's productivity gift to the world, this is your productivity gift. This is your greatest contribution to the world. All through operationgreatness.com/leader. Thank you. Thank you so much. I love you. I believe in you. I know how much of a difference you are here to be for the world. And I'm so grateful for you being that gift. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.